So hello, everybody. Let us introduce you to our idea of this podcast. It is to share our thoughts and experiences from our roles as trainers and supervisors, how we can use mindfulness with our trainees and supervisees so they can develop their competencies. And these thoughts and experiences are here to share with you Melita Mihajlović Košak, a psychologist, a psychotherapist, and a provisional trainer and supervisor in TA, and a mindfulness teacher from Slovenia. And myself, Tatjana Gjurković, psychologist, a psychotherapist, and a trainer and supervisor in TA from Croatia. So here we are once again.
Thank you, Tatjana. Thank you for this lovely introduction and introducing us. Yeah, so glad to be here again in this space with you.
Yeah, I was also looking forward to share further thoughts on mindfulness, and also I was particularly keen on going with you again the mindfulness exercise. I had also some feedback on that, and some people responded that they liked it.
Really?
Yes.
Oh, I'm really glad to hear this.
Yes.
Yeah. So yes, I had also for today, I had in mind to just start with the mindfulness practice, just to get us settled and coming more into this moment. So what do you think?
Sounds great.
Yeah.
I'm already in it. I'm closing my eyes.
You're already gone, huh? I was looking at you, just let me know. Let me go.
Ready.
Okay. So yeah, I guess this will be just like a short meditation to give us the opportunity to settle ourselves, to ground ourselves in this present moment. So I would invite you to coming to sit maybe and making yourself comfortable on a chair. Or you can also be lying down or standing up as it feels comfortable for your body, just at this moment. So this is kind of a comfortable position that you take. And if you're standing up or sitting, just seeing if you can have this erect posture, just kind of having this awake posture. Maybe the shoulders can be dropped and relaxed. And just so that, I don't know, maybe your posture embodies a sense of dignity, sense of taking a stand, being awake. You can close your eyes if it feels comfortable, or just lowering your gaze. And now I'm inviting you to coming and to focus on your breath. Just noticing the space in your body that your breath is inhabiting. And noticing the sensations of each in-breath and each out-breath. So there's no right way or wrong way of doing this. It's just noticing your breath coming into your body and leaving your body. There's also no need to be controlling the breath in any way or stopping it or changing it. Just allowing your breath to breathe by itself in its own rhythm. As much as you can, just being fully present for each in-breath, each out-breath. Maybe imagine yourself being like an observer standing next to a river and just being fully present and noticing the flow of this river, taking that presence to your breath. And as you do this, maybe from time to time, you'll notice that your mind wanders. And this is just something what our minds do. This is what happens. And when this happens, just acknowledging this is here. This is not a problem. It's not a mistake. Maybe just taking this opportunity to notice that the mind has wandered. And the moment you do this, you're already woken up. You're aware. And this is what this practice is about. Just seeing the patterns that take us away from the present moment. So when you notice that your mind has wandered, just taking a few moments to notice it had gone and where it had gone. And then gently escorting the attention back to the breath. Allowing the breath to anchor you back in the present moment. So even if the mind wanders a million times, just bringing it back as many times over and over again. And coming back to this breath. And this breath. And this breath. Each in-breath can be a new beginning. Each out-breath, a letting go. And now at a certain point, deliberately expanding the focus of your attention to the whole body, as if your whole body was breathing. You're also aware of all the other sensations present in your body as you sit or stand or be lying down. Maybe notice the contact with the chair, the floor, your feet on the floor, or any other sensations that might be there in your body. Maybe at a moment focusing right into a particular sensation, or then maybe sometimes zooming out and holding the whole body in awareness. Much as you can, just holding this presence in your body. And now shortly, when this meditation is coming to an end, we might be reminding ourselves that the deep stillness within us that we seek does not arise because the world is still or the mind would be quiet. Stillness is nourished when we allow the things to be just as they are in this moment, moment by moment, and breath by breath. And now when you feel ready and in your own rhythm, just find a way of returning your attention into the space that is around you, opening your eyes if they were closed, maybe stretching if your body needs to.
That's such a nice coming into awareness, what mindfulness is and how important it is. And so I would like to introduce our listeners to this episode or the subject of this episode. So today we were thinking to share with you about how we can think of implementing mindfulness in a psychotherapy training. What kind of influence it can have to the group.
Yeah.
And what differences have we observed when we do it or we don't do it? Yeah. So let's begin with the first question, and that is, what are the ways in which we as a trainers can implement and include mindfulness into training? And while I was thinking of this subject, I read Gregor Schweld's article from 2012, where he referenced Germer, if I write it correctly, read it correctly, from 2005, who proposed 3 different ways of integrating mindfulness into psychotherapy.
Yeah.
He stated that therapists may personally practice mindfulness, thus bringing the quality of mindful presence into the therapy room with the client, use a theoretical frame of reference informed by research and mindfulness practice, and explicitly teach the client how to practice mindfulness.
Yeah.
So what would you say, Melita? I'm sure you have many, many thoughts on this.
I have, and I think this is actually a nice introduction that you made into this question, because in my way, like thinking of how to bring mindfulness, the ways we can bring mindfulness into trainings as trainers, I think it's something similar as it would be bringing it to therapy room. So I think one way would be if the trainer is practicing mindfulness, just maybe for his personal use, for his own support, for regulation, for, I don't know, maybe comes into the group with the knowledge, the philosophy about mindfulness, also with the experience, with his personal experience that he has with mindfulness. And so this would be, I would say, more indirect way where the trainer would be modeling, kind of embodying the mindful way. So even without necessarily explicitly addressing it or talking about it. So I guess this would be one way or one level how to do it. And then other way would be to bring mindfulness in more direct and active way into the training group. So this could be from, I don't know, for example, including a mindfulness workshop in the curriculum. So the whole workshop where it's like explicitly connected to, I don't know, using mindfulness and learning mindfulness and you know, learning, teaching students some mindfulness skills and so on, or practices. Or it can be also through all other workshops and curriculum where, I don't know, we can bring in some mindfulness practices, some experiential learning that involves mindfulness. We can include guided meditation, or we can also include practices like inviting the students to write like mindful reflection journals, just to have space and time where they can reflect on whatever they're noticing that's happening within them or around them, connecting to the training and to their experience there, here and now. Or we could also I don't know, bring it into the learning as like presenting case studies, where we present how we use mindfulness when working with clients, for example, or we can bring mindfulness into supervision, supervisional work, or supervision demonstration for them. So something like that. Or we can also just in general, like promote mindful communication, mindful feedback, mindful sharing, promoting the use of mindfulness for self-care and stress reduction and resilience, as we're training the therapists to be. So I guess this would be a more active way. And another way also would be where we can offer students, for example, a mindfulness-based course alongside their primary training. So to be able to, have the opportunity to include themselves into a mindfulness-based program, and this program would be specifically oriented into developing the skills of mindfulness. And it's dedicated just to that. So I think those would be kind of the three ways I would see how to bring mindfulness into the training. And I guess it could be either of those ways in a specific moment, or they can be interconnected and kind of, intertwined with each other, not separated necessarily. Yeah. What do you think?
I'm impressed how many ideas you have. I loved your ideas, and I know that some of them you have been implementing for quite some time. You have been offering workshops for mindfulness workshops for psychotherapy students. I know you have been doing this for years for our institute, and I'm sure for many others. And also all these things, wonderful things you offered. I think it's hard to say anything more.
Maybe, I don't know. I was wondering, if how do you do it?
Well, I would say I'm new to this, and I implemented in a way for now. I would say maybe in three ways. First, I invite you, and you do workshops for the students on the second year usually. Another thing is to offer them some short meditation exercises in the beginning of each workshop. And the third way would be this mindful journal, although I named it a little differently, a reflexive journal, but in essence, it is the same thing. Well, I would say that, and maybe in a broader term, what they have, one of the main goals during the first year is to learn how to be with themselves and how to be with the client, which usually also they need to learn how to slow down, how to stop maybe asking so many questions, how to feel more the present moment. I never consider it actually as a mindfulness in this sense, but it is.
I think what you're saying is, really good examples of, how to do this. And I must say, I really liked when I was at your institute having the training, having the workshop for students. I like this idea of reflective journal, which is, as you're saying, basically, yeah, a mindfulness journal, because it's about being in contact with everything, what's happening to me,
Yeah.
this moment with this experience. And yeah, and it really is valuable, as you're saying, like in those, first year, second year, and when people are starting to work with clients. And I still remember how it was for me starting to work with clients. You're just so overwhelmed, so occupied with everything that you feel like you need to remember and really bring it now into this work. And you a lot of times you just forget that you need to be present, actually. You're just so on it, you have this goal to be this, to do this wonderful therapy
Mm.
and accomplish many important goals. And on this way, you really lose yourself sometimes in
Yeah.
that sense.
Yes.
Forgetting really about the basic, which is, the contact and being with the person.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, I really liked what you're saying. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah. I also see the benefits of it, although I do also notice the struggle that some
Yeah.
students have. Sometimes they would write on the content level what they have learned, and then they usually get feedback, no, no, no. It's not what I asked for.
I want to know about you.
Yes, exactly. Exactly, yeah. So, and I also see that in the first year, I usually offer them the guidelines for writing the journal, in a sense of how they experience the workshop. What was their experience? And then later in other years, I usually then focus them on the group, because I noticed that they can be quite overwhelmed with themselves, firstly. So
Yeah.
I gradually offer them then to be more focused on the group and how they influence the group and how
Yeah.
they form the transactions with the way of their being in it.
Yeah, it's really good how you're explaining this, because it's actually, a skill that's developed gradually.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, something we need to practice.
Yeah.
Basically, it's not just there,
Yeah. Yeah. And I also think from my personal perspective, I see that really it is like that. You need to practice it. Even when you master it, if you ever master it, you still need to practice it.
Yeah.
It's like never-ending process. It's not, okay, you master it, now you know it. You can so easily be focused on many materialistic and content level of things that you can very easily lose the contact with yourself.
Yeah, I think it's, that like really basic distinction, that this is like practicing mindfulness and having mindfulness involved in the way you're teaching or being. It's not a technique that I use for something. It's really the way I am
Yeah.
with myself and with others, the way of being, really. So yeah.
And I love seeing at the end of the first year their transformation, especially those who are very high cognitively in the first months of the first year. Then during these skill exercises, some of them at the end of the year are really changed, and they
Oh,
really
wow.
can get into touch with themselves. Yeah.
So you see all this from their journals.
Not only that, also from the observation
Yeah,
from
being
the
with them.
through
Okay.
being with them, yeah, and what they report as well.
That's really good. Really good feedback.
Yeah, yeah.
Hmm.
I do notice that some of them, or maybe most of them, have a hard time to see their influence to the group, which is quite interesting. And then plus, without feeling shamed or guilty because of it, especially if they influence in some way negatively, which we all do it at some point in time. And I see that as also a learning point for them, how to mindfully be with themselves, noticing their maybe more negative impact to the group.
Yes, when it's uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then being with that
Mm.
uncomfortable feelings while others also are now feeling uncomfortable. And I think that's so important also to learn, because that is something that if we master in training, then we have a great skill in the working with clients.
Yes.
At some point,
Yeah.
client will feel uncomfortable and we will feel uncomfortable.
Definitely,
Yeah.
definitely. And also how to handle that uncomfortableness. Instance, yeah, just not to, so many times we have this impulse to really resolve this immediately because it's tension, it's uncomfortable, it's and so mindfulness can here really teach us how to, how to be uncomfortable without necessarily solving it immediately, because many times it's also not possible to solve it immediately.
Yeah. And also I read recently that therapists oftentimes avoid things. So,
Oh, really?
yeah. So not to
That's
avoid
hard to admit, huh?
it. Yeah. So, okay, that's the client stuff. No, no, no. Here's my part in the client stuff. So how to be in it. Really, I think mindfulness can really, really be a great resource in learning how to deal with that.
Yeah, I think so too. Yeah.
Okay, so I think that through this answering our first question, we also answered the second one, how mindfulness influenced the learning process in the group.
Yeah.
Maybe there is something you would like to add for what we have already said.
Yeah, I guess it brings also to the group and for the group, like the benefits that also come with mindfulness when practicing it for yourself. Just I feel like it really promotes the presence of people, to really be there, to be more conscious, to be active in listening, in communicating, to be more in contact and knowing what's happening to them. And in that sense, also, having this more of a resource for handling stress. Maybe like we just talked now, handling those less pleasant emotions, what to do when it gets hard and how to stay in contact with that, how to hold it. So in a way also helps in building that resilience to stress and I think generally also what mindfulness includes is also compassion and self-compassion, which is also, I think, very beneficial when coming into the group.
Mm.
Yeah, so I feel really promotes that kind of support for each other, caring for each other, and also promotes addressing what's difficult actually, which is, I think what you said before, that actually therapists avoid a lot of things. Probably also as trainers, I think like it is uncomfortable, when there's, I don't know, fights in the group and misunderstandings and complications. And I guess there is this impulse that we would, rather have everything nice and people would just get along and everything would be so easy and beautiful. And the reality is, it's different, and thank God it's different. It has to be different because like you said, then this is the place where they get the experience that they necessarily need to get for being therapists, and how to handle this processes in therapeutic room.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree, and I would add that also I think that mindfulness offers them more space for cognitive learning in a sense of content, and especially theory can be sometimes confusing and complicated and stuff like that. So for people who are not initially calmed, can be even more harder to cognitively understand the theory.
Yeah, I think you make a really, really good and important point here. And as you were saying this, I remembered a research I was reading. I think it was in primary school. They brought in and having this mindfulness program for children. It was intended to help them to have some skills, to calm themselves down and to regulate and so on. But the study was showing them, interestingly, what happened, that the results they were getting, for example, at math, they really, there was a really big difference. So I think it's really good point that, you said this. It helps also with cognitive learning and understanding.
Yeah. So I know that we are close to an end, and we have another question. And so maybe we can just shortly maybe answer, do we observe any differences in the learning process when mindfulness is included and when it is not? And before we started the recording, we shared our experience, and you shared that you always include. And I said, well, I can say I don't always include.
Please tell us, what's the difference?
Well, I see the difference that it is harder for people to really settle into the group and to be cognitively active, both emotionally and cognitively active in the group without this beginning mindfulness exercise. It is as if they didn't had the time to leave their stuff behind, and all the intensity and who knows what kind of things they came with, they stayed with that. And I think that that also they report more often that they are tired or more tired at the end of the workshop when mindfulness is not included than when mindfulness is included.
Yeah, I usually like when, even if I'm having a workshop that's that's completely, you know, it's not directly connected to the topic of mindfulness. I use short practices anyway, because I use them also for myself. It's my need, actually, also because like when everybody's coming and we're starting, it's also my need to make that, how to say it, that passage, you know, from where I was to really come to the space and to the group. And I also like to use it, maybe just like when going to have a break, or coming from the break, or we are changing the subject, or, you know, just to having those moments of transitions, because I feel this helps me also.
Yeah. Yeah, I also agree that I think as a trainers, it is beneficial for us too. And that we need to take it both for students and for us, yeah, ourselves. So thank you, Melita. Here we are at the end of our second episode.
Yes, thank you for another really interesting discussion, which also very much inspires my thinking around the topic. So
yeah, I share the feeling. So would you like to offer us some short closing?
Yes,
exercise?
yes, it will be really, really short, just to kind of settle us at the end. So here at this point, when ending this second topic of our podcast, I would again invite you just to taking a posture that's comfortable for you. Maybe even changing it to a different posture than it was not just now through the listening of this podcast, and just settling into an awake posture, dignified, also relaxed if possible, and closing your eyes or lowering your gaze, whatever feels comfortable. And now and again coming and bringing your attention to the body in a way like once again coming home to your body, noticing what is there. Maybe there are some echoes of the topics, of the words that you were listening, or maybe something else is present for you. And just seeing how it is having all of that in your body in this moment. Whatever it is, it's welcome. No need to change anything. Maybe even kind of saying to yourself and recognizing, oh, okay, all of this is here and this is how it is just right now. And that's okay. And then again, coming to your breath and taking few very aware, very present breaths, being as much as possible and following with your attention the in-breath as it enters your body and it travels to your lungs. And then you can follow your out-breath with your attention from its beginning in your lungs and on its way, and to the moment when it leaves our body. Maybe noticing that our breath is always here and always available, a place where we can return whenever we need to, a place that connects us to the here and now. And when you feel ready, in your own rhythm, finishing the exercise and bringing the attention into the room and seeing if you can take this way of being, this presence, forward into your day.
Thank you, Melita.
Okay, you're very welcome.
I realized how full I am, how rich this experience was for me. So thank you. Yeah.
Thank you for this feedback. I'm glad.
Me too. So thank you for our listeners, and we will see in March again.
Thank you for today.
Yeah.
See you next time.
Bye-bye.
Bye.